heed the call. Season 2, the great Dan Hanzus and Marc Sessler are here, and they've got a new partner in Audacy, which congratulations on all of that. Good to see you, gents, here on the show
you as well.
once again.
Awesome.
All right, let's jump right in. Dan, Mark, you choose whichever you want to go first, even though I guess I should decide. The biggest story going into the season, the season-long storyline arc you are most eager to follow from start to finish is what?
Well, it's a little basic, but I do want to see the Eagles, the way they surged down the stretch and had a historic close defensively. And it's a bit of a recurring, Mark would call it a bit, but I call it more like I'm somehow still not sold on Nick Sirianni and whether the team will have staying power as a defending champion. So I know a lot of people have them ticketed to remain a superpower. I'm curious if that team is able to run it back, because not many teams have been able to run it back outside the Patriots in the last 25 years.
I'm curious to know if you're calling that not believing in Sirianni yet a bit, because it sounds so absurd on its face.
That would be the reason.
Okay,
that would be the reason.
It just can't be real.
It's
what you're saying.
And it goes on and on. There's multiple chapters to this and angles, and yes, to me it's a bit.
Yes.
For me, like the other team in the NFC that I think has been widely, I'm not saying overpraised, because I believe in the organization, the coach, the GM, and a lot of the players, but the Niners, this win total, just assuming that they have the highest win total in the NFC for most of the offseason. How did we get there? I collectively love Shanahan and believe in them, but I'm interested to see who they actually are with the injuries. They've got a lot of new players, a bunch of new guys on defense. Does it carry over, or does some of the chaos from last season continue?
Yeah, out in the desert, for instance, they have them ticketed to win, potentially 11 games. They're setting that number right around there. And I know their schedule is easy, but yeah, they've lost players and they're coming off a tough run. And sometimes you wonder if, a team like the Niners, if they had the window was open, and it was open, and they got so close, did it close or not? That's a good one, Cessy. I'm very excited to see what the Niners do too.
So your season-long storyline arc that you're interested in is the Niners?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to see what happens, because it's like this. You're right. It's like a team that had this window. You just signed your quarterback. Where does this go? Are you actually a superpower in the NFC, or is this a mirage?
We had Jordan Rodriguez.
That win total 10.5, by the way, 49ers.
10.5, yeah. We had Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic, who's awesome, on our show this week. And, we were just talking about Shanahan and her being at camp and just the demeanor and the energy around him and how he's such a figure of massive respect in the league. He's just missing that chip. That's the one thing that separates him from being potentially like an iconic coach of this era. So let's see if he can do it.
I think Stafford's back. If we get the green light there, Rams are the class of that division. Period. I understand the Niners have names that I adore: McCaffrey and Kittle, and obviously Trent Williams when healthy. Defensively, they still have Bosa and Warner, and they got Salah back, which is a secret sauce that I think they, Niner fans have been very vocal about them having been missed significantly defensively. But the Rams are younger. The Rams are, last year showed what they can do. The Rams gave the Eagles their toughest punch of the playoffs last year. Yep. I know the sentimentality, rightfully so, surrounding Cooper Kupp. They have Devontae Adams instead. Puka Nacua is a top 5 wide receiver. Kyron Williams doesn't come off the field. I mean,
right?
The Rams are not the class of the NFC West.
I can see that they are, but Stafford's back feels like one of the biggest X factors heading into the season. How long will it last? He's had these injuries before. Yes. I think that's kind of cross your fingers that he survives the first major 7 hits he takes from behemoth type individuals.
You're a skeptic.
No.
I'm seeing you, Dan. You're shaking your head.
No, I'm
Do you not know whose house it is?
I am. Yes, Rams house. I understand that, but
they make that very clear.
We're also. Yeah. Very clear.
In case anyone's wondering, the owner of the domicile. But
yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say we're both Yankees fans, Rich, and my hero growing up was Don Mattingly, and both, I just have a thing about backs and professional athletes and how sometimes they don't get better. And to Mark's point, they're going to keep Stafford in mothballs and protect him in every way possible. But once the bullets start flying, how much do you believe in Jimmy G in 2025 if something were to go sideways health-wise early this season? And then it gets a little dicey. But to your point, they are a team that I think you have to give so much credit to Snead and McVay and what they've been able to do to win a title. And then everybody's like, oh, they bought that thing on credit, whatever that meant, which drove me crazy. Oh, now they're going to go in the tank for several years. It's like, nah, they're just actually now going to switch up their policies. They're going to draft well. They're going to build this thing up again. And they are a team on the rise. It is the quarterback and his health that really is the only thing that has me as a skeptic.
Handicap the NFC North for me. What do you got? What do you think?
Lions are my team. It gets tough. I had the Packers, with a much higher win total than anyone else on our show.
Come on, Sassy. HTC Power Rankings, you had them number 3.
I just think when it all shakes out, though,
Packers 3.
I had them at 3, and I got filleted for it. And I understand, but it's like you got to project ahead sometimes with like a mystical feeling of what might happen to this team.
Of course.
So, but I still think the way to handicap right now would probably be from a national perspective: Lions, Packers, Vikings, and then the Bears thing. Like, we'll see. One of these teams has to take some hits, and we'll see about the quarterback. But they're a better team.
I feel like people are sleeping on the Vikings. I don't know if it's top of the division. But if this is, we have a quarterback whisperer in Minnesota.
We sure do.
We have one of the best young coaches in football, and he handpicked that kid, and he has a chance now to really build the team around him. And I don't understand. I understand maybe 14-3 last year with Darnold. I'm not talking about that, but I think the general sentiment is that like the Bears are on the rise, and they have 2 Titans in the division, and then the Vikings are just in the mix. I totally see them as a playoff team this season.
The narrative I see is the Lions lost both coordinators, so they can't be as good. You hear the Packers, you just don't know who the heck is who other than Josh Jacobs, who's the one who's going to rule the roost and get the football, right? With Jordan Love taking a step back, can he stay healthy? And that's the Packers question mark about them. J.J. McCarthy's obviously the question mark of the Vikings. And then the whole idea is that the Bears are going to be better, but they might just be the best last place team in the National Football League. Like, that's the way I see the NFC North being handicapped as we go into the playing season.
Dan Campbell called it the best team he's had.
I heard that. Yeah, he said that he's going to be tough cutting the roster, top to bottom. Well, it's because he's probably not seen so many healthy people in a long time.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? He's like, wait a minute. Everybody on this roster,
here. You're back.
You can play. You're not an injured reserve. But that's the idea. Is like, was Goff's success built off of Ben Johnson or not? And I think that is a question mark that people are going to see. And then we'll see how much of a quarterback whisperer is Ben Johnson. I just love the fact that he is openly talking about this offense in a way that is tough love. So far. Yeah. And I think that's a benefit. I really do.
They needed that.
And such obviously a great football city, Chicago. They've never really had a truly great quarterback. I liked a lot what I saw from Caleb Williams in horrible circumstances last year.
And everything that we found out from Seth Wickersham is that was borne out.
Right.
All of his concerns about being drafted by the Bears was actually happening while he was getting his butt handed to him, and he didn't say a word. He didn't say a word.
And he made plays, and if you look at his, I know counting stats aren't what it's all about to a lot of people, but he had a pretty good year as a rookie when you consider everything. And, that Netflix quarterback series, seeing Ben Johnson and Jared Goff, and I respect Jared Goff. I don't think he gets enough respect, but Ben Johnson, seeing the way they work together, it does make me wonder, what Detroit looks like with him and Glenn gone, and also how much the Chicago offense can surge with a guy that knows what he's doing.
Last one on the NFC for you, Marc Sessler, Dan Hanzus. The team that's more likely to take a step forward, the Commanders or the Bucs? I only ask those questions that make people make that noise.
I love it.
That's a thorny one. I could see the Bucs I could see the Commanders regressing just a little bit because late game situations, 1-score games, everything kind of went right, and it was this feel-good operation. I think they're a good team. I kind of see the Bucs as an NFC title team. I think they've shown a number of years in a row that they can go beat people in the playoffs, and they're stacked. And if you get the Baker Mayfield from before, now it's another new coordinator. I mean, this is happening all over the league, but I've been into Baker as an old school Browns fan, and I'm happy for him. But that is a loaded team that's been very consistently built by Jason Light.
Yeah. Well,
he keeps bringing them back. It's unbelievable. He keeps them together.
He does.
And Godwin keeps coming back, like the operation patient. But it looks like he's coming back again. So, and Ibuka apparently
he seems like he's a
off
dude.
the charts.
Another weapon.
I know. Another Ohio State guy.
They can run the ball now.
Who can catch it. Right.
And I think your question was who's more likely to take a step forward.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the Commanders, that means a Super Bowl, right?
That is correct.
I can't get there. I can't go there, but it could still be a very exciting and successful season for Washington fans, and they deserve that as well. But yeah, I think the Bucs. I think the one thing I've learned and we've learned, because we've both showered Baker with praise in this Tampa Bay run, is that he's a guy that now I trust to handle the OC change. He's shown it twice and continues to thrive, and he's the type of guy that, and it's not a twist of the knife, because like we've talked about the Baker Browns thing, like he's such a
for years
it's such an easy guy to root for. And does Baker have a January heater in him?
Oh, that would be amazing.
I think he does. He could if things fell the right way. And then if Jaden Daniels in Washington gets an NFC title game, so too could the Bucs.
Wouldn't that maybe they both do get it?
We'll get that answer.
How about that?
In deep January.
A Baker January heater. That might be a good fantasy team name.
I did write that down.
That could be a late ad, just under the wire before we just choose our fantasy team name for a draft that's going on right now. So that would be amazing. And plus, again, it's after Brady. You never want to be the guy after the guy. You want to be the guy after the guy after the guy.
Right.
And he shows up post Brady. And Kyle Trask is no longer there. Apparently, they're releasing him today. And so this is Baker's show, and Jason Light keeps bringing everybody back. They do have that defense that Todd Bowles can dial up. That's the sneaky NFC team that I think people might be overlooking. You never know. Marc Sessler, Dan Hanzus here on the Rich Eisen Show. In the AFC, are you guys of the mindset it is the Ravens conference to win? Or people are saying that just because we just can't say the Chiefs again? People are just fatigued.
I have fatigue of Chiefs fatigue.
Oh, yeah. Does that cancel each other out?
I think so. I think I'm really excited about the season.
Okay, there you go.
In Kansas City.
Okay, I know that fatigue of fatigue equals excitement.
You know what I do have fatigue of, actually? I have fatigue of, like, this is Baltimore's year fatigue. I do kind of have that.
Yes, but that's been going on for a long time.
But they are taking incremental steps, right? It went from great regular seasons to puttering out in the playoffs. And then last year, even though it ended in heartbreak with the Mark Andrews 2-point conversion play, Lamar led a spirited comeback and put to bed some of this, like, Lamar in January stuff. So the only next step now is to get over the hump. But, man, I kind of see them 1A and 1B in terms of the over the hump gang with the Buffalo Bills. Like, those are two organizations that are under enormous pressure to get to the Super Bowl, and they share a conference, so someone's going to be bitterly disappointed.
The
Maybe
Ravens.
both.
Well, sorry, the Ravens had a very, in a way, an offseason that is atypical for them. They didn't lose a lot of players. They kept a lot of coaches. Like, it's been consistent, but the Bills have also been so consistent for years. And it's like, I just kind of look at them the way that I looked at Ravens teams of old, where there isn't a lot of turnover. Like, there's some young players on defense, and we need to see some of the young players on offense. But I kind of view Buffalo as that team that's like, when is this going to happen? I think it's happening this season, or it maybe does not happen at all for Buffalo.
Really?
Well, I mean, I can say that.
Any older. I mean,
you could tweet that out and I'll get destroyed by someone, but it feels like how many more years can we just assume that Buffalo is going to win the AFC and they don't do it?
I don't know. It just seems we're in the AFC right now world where Chiefs, Bills, Ravens are going to make it in some way, shape, or form to the Final Four, right? And it just depends on when do you face the Chiefs? Does it end your season? Could we possibly see a Ravens-Bills AFC championship game where somebody eliminates the Chiefs for the other and they make it? And the other certainty is the Texans are 100% getting the first wild card window, on a Saturday. That's a you can write that in. If they win the AFC South, which I think they're favored to do again this year.
Yeah.
But they did make it's not a revolving door at the Final Four spot in the AFC. They've made it 2 years in a row, and that's been the Final Four. And the question is so who can break through? Is it the Chargers? Could it be the Bengals if they put it together? Could it be another AFC South team? Could it be the Broncos? I mean, the Broncos have a massive bandwagon heading into the season right now.
Massive. That's what I find too popular at this point.
Sussy and I
was in, and now I'm kind of like over it. But
maybe the popular thing could actually be true, though.
It can.
It can be.
But we have a thing on our show, the Team of HTC, and we like to get behind a team that doesn't have a ton of buzz. And I feel like when we did it in like June, the bandwagon was pretty empty.
Oh, you did it for the Broncos in June?
Yeah, this summer. We were like, we like this Broncos team.
People forget that now, but that was,
and then, we had our old friend James Palmer on the show.
Okay.
And
nice hair.
Yeah, beautiful hair.
Information, not in that order.
Great information. And then, the way James tells stories, he's like, I was going out on the field at a Broncos facility, and, the head coach, he just walks right up to me and says, Jimmy, I love this team. I love this team. And I buy it because it is a great team. This is a loaded team.
Yes.
But in a loaded division.
Yeah.
The way you said it was very foreboding at the end there.
It's just like, some Patrick Mahomes 3rd and 6 rollout for a 6.5-yard game to knock out the Broncos. You can see it.
Oh, but you could see that about anything. Because Mahomes is, you want to talk about X factors about that, that will determine the season. I think the number one is how Mahomes is internalizing the Super Bowl loss. And if he has internalized it in the manner that he's showing up physically, you could see he's in the best shape he's ever been in entering a playing season. And he doesn't talk about it. He's not out there like on Men's Health covers like Luka. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, honestly, he's
did a nice job.
And he's not talking about, I heard what you all said about us losing to the Eagles. I heard what everybody's saying about we were lucky. I saw the meme from the Coldplay concert of a referee hugging me, or I'm hugging a ref. Like, he's not saying anything like that. And I'm wondering how he's internalizing it. Same thing with Kelsey. Same thing with Kelsey. Same thing with all of them. They are a better team. They're better. They got better. Everyone's talking about this Josh Simmons guy finally being an anchor at that left tackle spot. He's a rookie. We need to see it first. And obviously Khalil Mack and Harbaugh on the YouTube game in Brazil are going to test that out right away.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how the Chiefs show up this year. And everybody's like, just fatigue plus, times fatigue equals excitement.
Right. Our exhaustion does not have anything to do with what actually happens on the field. If you think about it, it's two separate things. And Andy Reid, I mean, this is like the 8th year in a row they played extra games over every other team, and he's found a way to get it new and refresh it each training camp.
Right. Okay.
So I kind of trust the operation.
At the end of the day, though, who wins the AFC?
I'm going to say the Bills. I'm going to say they're going to do it. I just
think
it's
high-mark season.
I think it's their time. And the other, I do like the chances of a Joe Burrow maniac season. I just get this weird feeling about Burrow this year.
You just had that though.
Yeah, but like one where they don't start 0-3 and it's kind of buried a little bit.
Yeah. Burrow
going absolutely nuts, and maybe we get a Burrow Josh Allen AFC title game.
Which would, by the way, be
amazing.
Yeah. And now we are living in a very good time with quarterbacks right now. Certainly, you remember the quaint years, probably when you were starting your pod, when, like, what's going to happen with the AFC when Brady and Peyton Manning retire? Remember that?
And Big Ben.
Big Ben.
Yeah.
And now,
feels like 2 decades ago.
It does, but, Burrow and Allen and Lamar and Patrick and Stroud is now put together.
I tried to say this last year, and you guys are poo-pooing me.
We've
We've never seen more quarterback talent in the NFL than right now.
But it's easy to poo-poo you, and it's enjoyable. That's what it is.
Which I understand.
We didn't discuss Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Your best guess as to how that season plays out. Why don't we start with the Browns fan, and then we'll go to the Jets fan, and I need to say that so we understand where these comments are coming from.
I would say bland. But I do think that the defense will still be able to win them games. And Aaron Rodgers at this point is a mid-tier quarterback. I don't love their weaponry, and they just feel ticketed. We've just mentioned all these powerful teams in the AFC.
Yes, sir.
And the AFC North schedule for each one of those teams is rugged. And
because they play the NFC North as well and the AFC East.
Right. So for Pittsburgh, like, did they strike me as a team that's going to survive and overtake any of these bigger giants? I don't think so. I think they kind of are who they are, and they could have maybe thought about a deeper rebuild, but they believe that they're still a wild card team or a playoff type team. I don't know if I believe that at this point. In fact, I do not.
Yeah, I think coming out of the last 2 years with the Jets, I came out of last season saying, okay, Rodgers he's a quarterback that can be successful. It was troubling when the competition would go up, his play usually went down. And I just wonder if what the Steelers are expecting is to get the old Rodgers, but they're just going to get old Rodgers. And in that division, I mean, I see 9 wins. I see him being in the Tomlin zone.
Listen, I think looking at Rodgers' abilities this year through the prism of the last 2 is unfair. I really believe that. First year, blows out his Achilles.
Especially that year.
Second year, he comes back, blows out his Achilles, and 3 games in, at being 2-1, they have a terrible home day against the Denver Broncos, and they're flying off to London, and the owner's saying we should bench him, and the head coach is pushing back on this sort of thing, and then the head coach gets fired, and then the defensive coordinator takes over. There's a new offensive coordinator that comes in. What a holy heck of a mess. Even Rodgers can't even navigate something like that. I understand his diminished physical abilities. I get that. Neck up, he's still one of the best. Yeah. His arm apparently is as good as it's ever been. And we'll see what happens with DK. We'll see what happens. I understand that the receiving core might not overwhelm, but the Steelers seem to always find a receiver you're not thinking of. Jonnu Smith is added. We'll see what the running backs can do. The defense is pretty darn good. And the thing about Rodgers is that Steelers aren't asking him, please figure everything out for us. You know what I mean?
But is he okay with that?
I think he is. I think at this stage of his career, I think he absolutely is. Now, we did predict when you talk about bland, right?
Yeah.
What it's going to look like offensively bland. We were talking yesterday, TJ, Chris, and yours truly, that if I had to guess, there might be a week 6, week 7 story coming out somewhere that there's an Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers gear grind,
right?
And because neither of them, suffer fools, but that could be fatigue plus fatigue equals excitement. They could cancel each other out. I don't see disaster here. I see that there is a plan, and if Rodgers can remain healthy at this advanced age, I see it working.
But if we're saying 9 wins, which is not a disaster at all, how many wins would you push for? Because is it more than 10?
I'll tell you this right now, not just because I have an answer, but the radio audience is about to return back on the Rich Eisen Show radio network with Hanzus and Sessler of Heed the Call. Mark, you just asked me the number of wins for the Steelers. I'd say 10. I have the Steelers second in the division, and I have them being a playoff team. And in the same way that I'd love to see a Mayfield heater, just Aaron Rodgers in a Steelers uniform in a playoff game, potentially for the last time in his career. Lock me in. And it could be against Buffalo. It could be against Baltimore. It could be against the Chargers. It could be against Houston. It could be against the Chiefs. It could be against a division, one of those. The Steelers always seem to play a division playoff game, it seems like one of those. Like, sign me up for that sort of thing. But, that's in the few minutes left I have with you guys. Mark, your opinion of the Browns sending Kenny Pickett out. And at the end of the day, after this long discussion of what the quarterback room is going to look like through free agency and then the draft, it's Flacco and 2 rookies. What do you think?
Well, it's like this message we were given for weeks and months that they were going to keep 4 quarterbacks. Pickett always felt like the odd man out, because I get that Flacco and Stefanski obviously can work together to start the season, and their schedule is absolutely a nightmare. So I get you go in with Flacco. He's 40, so that's not the long-term plan. And then you don't ditch one of the 2 rookies. You're going to want to try to see them both. I think Cleveland is sort of overall trying to get so much younger. The Pickett trade gave them a fit, and they have 10 picks in the next draft, 2 number 1s. Anything's on the table for how they'll look. But this year, outside of, I think, the defense being a little feisty, I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think. They're ranked by most as like the worst team in the league. I think they'll coach their way out of some of that. But from another angle, it's like the 18th 19th, 20th year in a row where if this were a relationship and you had a therapist, the therapist would say, get out of this and start to pay attention to your own needs and wants. So that lingers as well, along with whatever excuse I can make for them.
Okay. While we're on the subject of fandom and therapy,
Yeah, right.
how do you view the Jets season?
I think the Jets season can be a successful one without having a winning record. It's nice to be back our head underneath the clouds and not thinking, oh, maybe we go to the Super Bowl. If Aaron Glenn can instill a program, if it could feel like the season ends where we're building something, and maybe the quarterback sticks, and maybe it's a Band-Aid until they can use a high draft pick next year, which is probably more where I see it. But I want to see, I just want to see basic competence. I want the coach to have control of his sidelines. I want accountability. I want less penalties. I want Garrett Wilson and Sauce to play at the height of their powers, and I want the owner to stay out of it and let this team develop from the ground up, because Aaron Glenn came from a place that started out as bad as it can get, and by the time Campbell and him were done together, they were a Super Bowl power. The owner, Woody Johnson, needs to understand that's the only way this is going to work. You got to let this thing simmer, and I do think Glenn is the right guy. I love that he's a Parcells guy. I'm a big Parcells guy. I love that he's a former Jet. I love that he's a former first-round pick that played a long time in the league. The players respect that stuff, and everything, the way he's handled and comported himself since he's been hired, makes me think they might have the right guy. Now, I thought Robert Saleh was the right guy, okay? Like, we've thought 100 guys were the right guy, but all you can do as a Jets fan is just hope that maybe this is finally, they made a move that gets them going in the right direction
Well,
again.
Saleh might have been the right guy, but Zach Wilson wasn't, right? And then Rodgers was the move, I thought a wise one, that blew up.
Yeah.
Because of, we don't need to go down that road. I like the move that the Jets made. I mean, in terms of their options at quarterback, what to do. $20 million a year on a flyer on somebody with a massive upside potentially, and bringing him in and saying, it's your team, Justin, and we're going to hook you up with your old college teammate, who, by the way, we're going to re-sign. They've re-signed the two right guys. They signed their rookies of the year, and they've made the right moves. We will see if they cash. Which rookie would you want, Mark, to see being 2 on the depth chart in Cleveland?
Well, Dylan Gabriel had the much better preseason, so he's earned it. So if you flip that around,
You think so, huh?
I mean, I think if
you take a look at Bull. I mean, Shador had a much better first game than Gabriel had his first game.
Yeah.
And then the second game, you know, a bunch of the guys whose names are going to get cut, is Shador played behind, although he did not have a better game.
I think that it's a lightning rod scenario if Shador's in there. I'm very curious to see him. I don't care what anyone says. But Gabriel was drafted higher. He received much more of the training camp snaps. They treated him like a higher ranking quarterback than Shador. So it's like, then if you flip that, who's in charge of that decision?
Marc Sessler and Dan Hanzus here on the Rich Eisen Show to wrap up hour number 1. Everyone check out Heed the Call on Audacy and more. We're still here on Roku. Continue on if you want.
I've always wondered, like, not to go on to about it too much, but Kevin Stefanski inherited Baker Mayfield. They moved on from him. Right, and then the Deshaun Watson thing happens, where it's like, did Stefanski really want Deshaun Watson? I don't see very clear evidence of that, and he doesn't fit within the Stefanski offense.
Why does Stefanski have? Why is there a narrative that Stefanski's a hostage? Almost all the time when it comes to his quarterbacks.
Because I think
why?
Because the Deshaun Watson felt like it came from high up.
And the same thing with Shador Sanders.
And Shador.
I mean,
it works for Stefanski.
Right.
Flacco
takes him off the hook.
Like,
name me the quarterback Stefanski wanted in Cleveland that he's actually coached. Is it Flacco? And that's the end of the list?
Well, that's the only one that truly felt like a good story. I don't know if it's the end of the list, but I would say this. Do we say this about Sean McVay and the quarterback he gets? Like, we feel like he goes and gets the quarterback he wants. Same with certain types of coaches. O'Connell.
Yeah.
In Cleveland, it feels like there's a committee, and they've called it a committee. And committee is problematic when you keep coming up with the worst possible decision.
And Jets fans, Browns fans, dysfunction starts from the top down. We just want the top to not keep us down.
Well, the neat thing is, in terms of your new situation with the top being Audacy, that they clearly are into you guys. They gave you a deal, and they don't have a problem with you booking celebrities as your guests and actors as your guests. Because your guest on the next Heed the Call is who?
None other than Chris Brockman.
Oh,
how about that?
You are aware. You are aware.
I have an extensive writer.
Not an extensive writer. You've been booked before as a celebrity.
That's
correct?
true. That's true.
At a celebrity golf
I
tournament
am a
as an actor,
at
right?
a golf tournament, correct.
Oh, nice.
As an actor.
Would you care to tell him the story, or should I?
You can do it. Yeah.
Kevin Rahm.
Yeah, Kevin Rahm.
His remarkable charity golf tournament
For St. Jude.
For
yeah.
St. Jude in
Out in
Jacksonville,
Sawgrass,
Florida.
yeah,
Out in Sawgrass.
unbelievable.
Once upon a time, had Chris come out and play. He was listed as actor.
Oh, nice.
Chris Brockman.
We all wear masks, Chris. So,
I mean, I've been in 2 programs, I think.
and
Non-speaking roles.
It's a thespian over there.
Yeah.
See, TJ, we just had a full football conversation. Didn't mention Micah or the Dallas Cowboys once,
shocked.
which is exactly what it goes against what
Thank
the
God.
Cowboys wanted. Yeah. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
They want to be
Not
talked
giving
about.
Jerry what he wants.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
until we just mentioned them.
Oh,
So
damn it.
close.
Almost made it. Congrats on everything going on with you guys.
Thank you.
I look
Thank
forward
you.
to coming on during the season.
can't wait.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.